What is up, everyone? Renfail here. Welcome back for another video on my channel if you're a returning visitor. If you are a new player, well, we're diving into a game that some of you might not have ever played before, and that's EverQuest 2. Now, this video is actually inspired by my wife, Chris, because she wanted me to do some EverQuest 2 game guides. So for those of you who know who Chris is, I'll tell the story for those who don't. My wife is not a gamer, but the first mmorpg that she ever seriously gave a shot was EverQuest 2 a couple of years ago during the holiday break for Christmas, and she quite enjoyed the game. Ended up playing Lord of the Rings Online with me after this, giving each game about 3 months. You know, pretty good first shot. We've got characters that are in their mid-20s here on the Antonia Vale server in EverQuest 2. We were playing every Sunday for a while, and she really grew to love the way that this game plays, the lore, and everything else. She played a wizard character in this game, but because we got busy and moved out to the homestead and everything else, she hasn't had a lot of time to game. But of course, I do this full time on my channel, playing a lot of different titles. And I've been doing a lot of game guides in 2023, and she asked why I hadn't done any EverQuest 2 game guides. And I was like, well, you know, I haven't really played that game in a couple of years. I don't really play it anymore, because back in the day, I played this game a lot. I mean, I mained this game for many, many years. We were in one of the top 10 worldwide raid guilds, top 3 on our server, and I've seen it done it all up till, you know, I think it was the Odyssey expansion. I was trying to remember the name of it. And then we've come back over the years and done the mythical raids a few times with our community. And then just these days, I'm not really into running game guilds anymore, or big communities. I'm just sort of content to do my own thing. So she said, well, why don't you do some game guides, maybe play a solo character? And I went, you know what? That actually sounds somewhat appealing. So I wanted to start off with a new player guide to EverQuest 2 and talk about a few things. First and foremost, we're going to be starting off with what's the best place to start your character. What is the best newbie experience in EverQuest 2? Because there are a variety of options to choose from when you're starting a brand new character on a traditional server. You've got New Halas, Queen's Colony, or Kelethin if you're on the good side. I'm not doing a bad side guide today, the Freeport side, or evil side as they call it. We're going to do the good side. So we're going to be talking about what's best, New Halas, Queen's Colony, or Kelethin in today's game guide. So strap in. If you haven't already done so, like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update as I play this game and many other games here on my channel. Check out the other playlists. Let's dive in. So first and foremost, let's start off with the Queen's Colony, the Isle of Hope. It says here, aligned with the city of Qeynos, this temperate island within the shattered seas is more than a refuge for those rescued by the Far Seas Trading Company. It is also an island of hope. From here you will begin your walk along the path of light, gaining skills and prestige, giving aid to those in need, and battling the forces of darkness that threaten all of Norath. Now, those of you who played this game back in the day, this was the original starting area for the game, the newbie island, as it were. And if you're looking for sort of the classic experience in EverQuest 2, this is going to be it. You're going to start off on a ship, and you get to run through and do a cute little intro sequence on the ship, which is reminiscent of things you might see in, say, World of Warcraft. And then from there, you're going to get dropped into an island, and you're going to do the island, and it's going to have all the tutorials that you're looking for to run you through the game. But because it is the oldest of the starting areas, it's also one of the shortest starting sequences, and also doesn't really have the best gear in terms of getting your character equipped. However, it does offer that classic leveling path of going from the island to Qeynos, because back in the day that was the game. You started off on the island, you went from there to Qeynos, and from Qeynos you then explored Antonica, from Antonica to the Thundering Steppes, and from there the game expanded throughout the various expansions that came later. Now, after that, they added other starting areas to the game, such as Kelethin, which is what we're going to talk about next. Hey everyone, Renfail here with the commercial part of the video where I say, hey, if you like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update. And thanks to all of our supporters are here on YouTube and over on Patreon, our highest members, our guild champions, Crazy's Relative, Remy D here on YouTube. And don't forget, if you want to support, it's really easy. You can do the memberships below, the Adventurers Guild, 3 different tiers. There's also the super thanks on any uploaded video or YouTube short that you find. There's also, of course, the super chats and stickers that you could do on any live stream or premiere, and the Patreon page if you want to dive into the fantasy world that I have with my brother and my wife, which is a tabletop game, a point-and-click adventure game, and a fantasy book series. All are great ways to keep this channel going and me going full-time. Thanks again for those of you who support. Let's get back to the video that you're watching now. Now, for those of you who played EverQuest 1, Kelethin is a familiar place. Built amongst the green canopies of the greater Faydark, it is home to the Fae and other folks who wish to live in harmony with nature. And it says here, though the city itself is sheltered, can there ever be peace with the Orcish legions patrolling so near at hand? Now, Kelethin is I don't want to say classic experience because it's not classic to EverQuest 2, but if you ever played EverQuest 1, it is classic in the sense that it is a throwback to the first game, because Kelethin was the starting area for Wood Elves back in the day. Now these days it's the starting area to the Fae, and Kelethin was added later on in the game's life cycle here in EverQuest 2. It offers a more streamlined leveling process in comparison to the Queen's Colony, and an upgraded set of gear because it was added later on. It's also much larger in the sense that you're getting an entire forest to level through, and everything sort of guides you towards this level 20 mark of getting a horse or your first mount in the game and leading you to a dungeon, which is Crushbone, which is also a classic location from the first game. And from there, it immediately pushes you into Butcher Block and the surrounding areas within Faydark. And it's a very, in my mind, it is one of the smoothest leveling curves because you go just from one zone to the other, and you can level entirely to max just on that continent alone, going through the content that's there. Maybe not max these days, but you can go quite high. I remember, I think it's around level 70 or so, just on that continent, and just going zone to zone to zone, and each zone has its own storyline. So if you're looking for sort of a streamlined leveling process, Kelethin's probably a very good starting area, but it is very, naturey and, city in the trees and classic sort of elfish, fayish environment. Now, if I had to pick a best starter area for new players, I would tell you to start in New Halas. So New Halas is the most recent starting area. It's several years old at this point, but it is the one that was added most recently to the game. It is, as it says here, namesake of the original city of the Northmen destroyed by cataclysm and war, and it sits in the heart of the Isle of Halas, a treacherous land of biting temperatures and aggressive fauna with the freezing waters of the Frostfang Sea. Originally a village of war-hardened dwarves, it has since grown due to being blessed by Nathaniel Marr and reconnected with the shattered lands of Norath. Now, the reason I say that New Halas is the best starting area for new players is because this is the newest starting area. So it has a really good set of starter gear that's going to take you quite far into the game. It also has the best starting quest chains in terms of adventuring as well as crafting, teaching you how to craft, giving you plenty of resources, rare resources, and beyond. It also has all of your harvesting resources located in one compact area, so it's really easy to sort of go from level 1 to 20 in the adventuring arena, in the crafting arena, in the harvesting arena, and so on and so forth without ever needing to leave the island. You also end up with a mount at the end of that leveling curve, and it also teaches you swimming, which is the bane of Christina's existence, and she did not like the New Halas experience because of swimming. She drowned a couple of times. So keeping in mind that there are a variety of options to choose from, looking at Queen's Colony being sort of the classic EverQuest 2 experience, leading you through to Qeynos, Kelethin being the more traditional leveling curve that takes you through the classic EverQuest 1 destinations, New Halas is a completely from scratch area that was created for this game, and it is a streamlined new user experience area that I highly recommend. For example, my nephew, who now is around 7, when my brother first introduced him sort of to gaming in general around 5 years of age, he actually sat him down and had him play the New Halas experience, because it was the easiest for someone to learn, and for like, I think he was 5 at the time. For a 5-year-old, it was a very easy place to level because it was very self-explanatory and everything was right in one place, and he was able to run around and do everything and harvest and do the things that he wanted to do as a little 5-year-old kid. Without needing to worry about being overwhelmed by, a game that is quite older at this point and has a ton of information dump. So it's a really good starting area for new players who might never have played the game before. Now, because I am creating this character from scratch and I'm going to be doing game guides around this character as well as just playing it sort of for my own enjoyment as a single player, which I've never done before in EverQuest 2. I've always played EverQuest 2 as the guild leader, running a guild of anywhere from 70 to 150 people and running raids and everything else. I've never actually just played this game to play it as a solo player. So since I'm doing that, and I have my options here, I'm actually going to choose New Halas because I think it is the best for what I'm going to be doing, and because I'm going to be able to get a pretty good set of gear out of it, and I'll be able to then get my crafting quests done and everything else, so I can create guides around that entire experience and the New Halas leveling curve. So we're going to be picking New Halas for this particular character and going from there. Now, of course, I need to give this character a name, and we will be on the Antonia Bale server since we have a guild on that server, which allows me to get into the guild and have access to the guild portals and everything else. So we're going to call this character Renfell, which I should be able to do because I've deleted all my other characters named Renfell on the server to make room for this one. And then we would click play. Alright, so I've logged in for the first time here. I've got a ton of stuff I got to set up. So we're going to be going through and doing all the stuff that you have to do to get a new character set up and moving forward and showing off stuff in game guides and everything else. So if you like that kind of stuff and you want to know more about EverQuest 2, or you're just looking for a nostalgia hit, I would highly recommend that you follow along because I'll be doing more of these. So stay tuned and we'll see everybody in the next video.